Hello there and welcome back, everyone. We are here doing 30 days of radical acceptance. We're starting off 2023 in a very powerful way, and today is day 4. So what I have been guided to do yesterday and today was read the book, Sherry. Read the book. Read this book. So in this book, after the 365 days of lessons, you have the Manual for Teachers. And the 4th section of the Manual for Teachers is what I will be speaking from today. And actually, I'm going to spend 2 days on this because there's just that much amazing stuff in there. So the theme for today, I trust in the power that keeps all things safe. I trust in the power that keeps all things safe. So what we're going to do is talk about trust today. And in the 4th section of the Manual for Teachers, there is, let me see, what is it even called? It goes over a lot of terms. What are the characteristics of God's teachers? The first one is trust, and there is a lot to unpack in the trust section. So, we're just going to talk about that one today and then get into the other ones tomorrow, unless I'm guided to do something different tomorrow. I have no idea. So I pulled a couple of phrases out of this teaching on trust. And first, what I want to say is congratulations for taking this on with me. I really have no idea exactly where it's going in 30 days of radical acceptance. But what I feel like this is building is a really solid foundation to start the year for Course in Miracles students. These spiritual teachings, of course, are universal and apply to any belief system that wants to open your heart and raise your consciousness and bring you in alignment with truth. But in particular, there's terminology, there's references. A Course in Miracles student is going to be most benefited by doing these teachings with me that have to do with the Manual for Teachers. So when we look at this term called trust, we probably have a Webster's Dictionary definition of it. But let's listen to Jesus's definition of this particular characteristic of a teacher of God. Trust is the foundation on which the teacher of God's ability to fulfill his function rests. So this is one of those key things. Our ability to fulfill our function during this incarnation rests on the understanding and embodiment of trust. Teachers of God have trust in the world because they have learned it is not governed by the laws the world made up. It is governed by a power that is in them, but not of them. It is the power that keeps all things safe. It is through this power that the teachers of God look on a forgiven world. A lot to unpack in this statement. So first of all, I like to do a little play on words sometimes when we talk about there was one of the previous lessons in A Course in Miracles talked about the law of love and how we, Course in Miracles students and teachers of God, are law enforcement officers in this little tongue-in-cheek way, right? We're law enforcement officers. So now this is saying teachers of God have trust in the world because they have learned it is not governed by the laws the world made up. So guess what else we are? We're the government. And when you get into the idea of like the government has an enforcement tool, which is like the military, so maybe we're like part of this peace army that those of you who are connected to my girlfriend Carol Morgan's community, she channels a blue avian being named Xena Allen. He is the general of the peace army. So if you want to get super into what I have going on and the places that I'm connected to, that's one of them. So I think this idea of trust is understanding what the world is really governed by, not the laws that the world made. So we're working in the universal law. We're working in cosmic law. Okay? And so we embody this peace and stillness inside of us, knowing that what we see out here is not governed by the proper government. It is governed by these cosmic laws. Love, really, to simplify it. Okay? And it is through this power that the teachers of God look on a forgiven world. So this really getting trust gives us the ability to see, not just with the body's eyes, but to really understand and know a forgiven world. We have to take these steps. We have to really deeply study these characteristics of teachers of God. So, what is it that induces them, the teachers of God, to make this shift? Oh, I'm sorry, there's one other thing I wanted to read. Who would place his faith in the shabby offerings of the ego when the gifts of God are laid before him? So talking about these characteristics of teachers of God, there are beautiful teachings with each of them. And through the rest of the section on the Manual for Teachers, it's amazing. But yeah, would we choose the offerings of the ego when the gifts of God are laid before us? Of course not. So what is it that induces we teachers of God to make the shift? And so this is broken down into 6 sections. And what I recommend you doing is definitely studying the definition of trust. There's a lot in here to read that I'm not reading. But it's going to go into 6 different periods of time or experiences that you're going to have as you make this shift. And what I recommend doing is kind of looking at a linear timeline of your life and determining where you are, okay? So the first period is called undoing. The second period is called sorting out. The third period is called relinquishment. The fourth, settling down. The fifth, unsettling. The sixth, achievement. So going into this, know that just because you finished your study of the lessons of A Course in Miracles, just because we're doing this together, doesn't automatically put you into one of these particular sections just by nature of finishing the lessons. It's really about putting these lessons, putting these concepts into action in your life. And then you begin to see the world come back to you, reflect back to you a little differently. So I do want to just read a little bit about each one of these sections. So the things that make us shift into really trusting, really having that idea that I said in the beginning, I trust in the power that keeps all things safe. How do you get to that place of trusting in the power that keeps all things safe, truly embodied and integrated into your being? Well, it's by going through some tumultuous, interesting, moving pieces in your life. All right, here we go. First, a period of undoing. And I'm just going to read a little bit about each one and then we'll close for the day. This need not be painful, but it usually is so experienced. I love Jesus's humor. It seems as if things are being taken away, and it is rarely understood initially that their lack of value is merely being recognized. So that's your first shift into a period of undoing. Sorry to say. Second shift, a period of sorting out. Well, that sounds a little better. This is always somewhat difficult because, having learned that the changes in his life are always helpful, he must now decide all things on the basis of whether they increase the helpfulness or hamper it. So it's a lot of discernment, right? He will find that many, if not most of the things he valued before will merely hinder his ability to transfer what he has learned to new situations as they arise. Okay, the next period in your life that you'll go through as you truly begin to embody and integrate this idea of trust that we're learning is a period of relinquishment. If this is interpreted as giving up the desirable, it will engender enormous conflict. Warning! So here's where I want to tell all of you, don't judge where you're at in your spiritual evolution by how perfect your life is, how peaceful and settled your life is. Because what we're learning here is you're going to go through these 6 phases, which I do believe are on a linear trajectory. And it's going to feel really bad sometimes. You're going to be going through a lot of stuff. And I made the mistake while I was doing the lessons this year of assuming that I'm not being a good Course in Miracles student because I'm feeling off track, because I'm having, issues with my partner, we're arguing or what have you. And I'm looking at myself and thinking, oh, these teachings really aren't working for me. I'm not worthy of them. Don't do that to yourself. Okay. All right. So let's move forward a little bit here. In this period of relinquishment, few teachers of God escape this distress entirely. So some people get stuck in the period of relinquishment and don't move forward. So that it talks about this thing called a period of overlap, which I think is between 2 of these phases. He can learn this only as he actually does give up the valueless. Through this, he learns that where he anticipated grief, he finds a happy lightheartedness instead. When we anticipate grief, as we begin to implement and embody these beautiful teachings and tools into our lives, we'll find a happy lightheartedness instead. When we thought something was asked of us, we find a gift bestowed on us instead. So it really starts, the flip starts to happen, and that really gets your attention. However, then you go into this place called a period of settling down. This is a quiet time in which the teacher of God rests a while in reasonable peace. Okay, I was going to say, but wait, there's more, but I'll just wait on that. Its potential is literally staggering, and the teacher of God is now at the point in his progress at which he sees his whole way out. So that's salvation. We're going from this period of settling down to what we think is salvation. Okay? The teacher of God needs this period of respite. He has not yet come as far as he thinks. Oh, darn. Yet when he is ready to go on, he goes with mighty companions beside him. And I did an asterisk on that one. I think I hit 11:11 on the video when I talked about this. This is important because this means that you're a part of a community. And I think when Tina started the Channeling Jesus YouTube page, which ended up becoming a Facebook group and then a Mighty Networks group, I think a lot of people were at this period of settling down stage, and they were realizing, I'm not alone. There are all these other like-minded beings with the same beliefs that are making huge changes and shifts in their lives. That's my tribe. And so I'm not just doing this work alone by myself, surrounded by people who aren't Course in Miracles students and don't have a particular spiritual seeking desire. So you feel like you're just trugging along in quicksand. All right. So I think it's really important that we know that we're doing this work together. Okay. 2 more stages. After the period of settling down, guess what? There is a period of unsettling. Dang it. So this is when we realized we didn't know what was valuable and valueless. All that we really learned so far was that we did not want the valueless and that we did want the valuable. Yet the sorting out was meaningless in teaching the difference. So this is when we must lay down all judgment and ask only what we really want in every circumstance. So again, that's that mind training we've been talking about in the first few days of the acceptance. We are empowered to choose. We are empowered to make shifts with our loving kindness and compassionate heart. We can do a lot of things in this world. Now, the last stage in this 6-stage model, finally, a period of achievement. It is here that learning is consolidated. Now, what was seen as merely shadows before become solid gains to be counted on in all emergencies as well as tranquil times. This is the stage of real peace, for here is heaven's state fully reflected. From here, the way to heaven is open and easy. In fact, it is here. Heaven is here. Who would go anywhere if peace of mind is already complete? And who would seek to change tranquility for something more desirable? What could be more desirable than tranquility? So those are the 6 phases, or periods as they're called in this book. And like I said, I think you can plot your life out on a linear timeline. And since I have the asterisks around this period of settling down, I'm not going to be fooled. I know that after this, there's unsettling and then achievement. But I'm placing myself into this what is it? 1, 2, the 4th stage. And I don't know, that resonates for me. Look at your life. Look at where you're at with your spiritual dedication, and how do you evaluate it? How do you feel? So again, the theme for today, we're talking about this characteristic of teachers of God called trust. Spent a whole video on it. The thing I want you to remember today in saying is, I trust in the power that keeps all things safe. That is where our trust lies. Lots of love to all. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.